And 3, 2, 1. Well, everybody, as you've heard, Red Hand Radio is back on the air after an insane amount of time off the air. I think I'll unpack that at another time. This is the first show, and I just had to do it. I have been listening to reaction videos with music for a couple of months now, and this channel came by on my suggested playlist, and I'm going to tell you what. This channel is like no other channel that I've come across. Now, the other ones are good. This one is good. They each have their strong points, but there's just something about Daniel, and I'm excited that he's going to be a part of the show today. So, Daniel, Dicon Dissection, we are Legion.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
I'm wondering what channel you've been listening to, but I'm glad you feel.
Well, you know,
awesome,
I'll say it. You know, I think the first reaction channel that I came across were the two college students named Andy and Alex. Okay,
yeah.
And I enjoyed them for a while. I still do. But then Jamel, aka Jamal, came across my playlist as well, and so he and they were pretty much. I didn't really want to continue to click different reactions that came along because I didn't want to just keep listening to things over and over and over. I wanted to kind of just keep the niche just narrow, right? I'm gonna do Alex and Andy and Jamel, and then you came along. And I think it was just maybe your youthful look, and it was probably a song that I liked. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to check this out. And I'll tell you what, you are a breath of fresh air. You are a refreshing host. And the thing that you say in your introduction is that you want your channel to be a bit different. And the difference that you make is that you bring in your own interpretation to analyze the lyrics. Every once in a while, Alex and Andy will do it. Jamel will talk about the lyrics every once in a while, but you... Okay, so how about this? Alex and Andy get real technical on the engineering side.
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
they do a lot.
I remember that.
Right, you know, they geek out on that stuff. I mean, they love the whole ensemble itself, but when they geek out on the engineering. You do that, but your level of focus really addresses the lyrics.
Yeah.
And how it touches you as a person. And I think that just completely, I think you win over your audience with that, man. I really do.
I am so happy that you think that about the channel, because that was probably one of the main reasons that I created it, or at least my main goal with the channel is to, you know, for any given video, I want to figure out, at least to myself, what the song means, because I don't know, man. If I relate to a song, or if I can relate a song to myself personally, then I'm probably going to keep it with me for the rest of my life. You know, I mean, I like songs a lot more when I understand what's behind them or can relate it to myself in some way. And then I've also liked learning about the different groups, which is one of the reasons I started bringing in the kind of the fact check at the end of the video, or looking at the websites or the blog posts or songfacts.com or wherever for some additional information to add on to the end or whatever. But yeah, I'm glad that my goals have been accomplished, if that is your impression of the channel. Awesome.
Yep, fantastic. So let's go back to unpack a little bit of the beginnings. And you touched on it in a way with your last answer, but what inspired you to start the channel or this content itself? Like, take us back to that.
All right, so there's a couple things that led up to me creating the channel. One of them is just my dad has instilled in me a love for music. My mom has too, but my dad could be considered a connoisseur of music. He likes all different genres, and he has introduced me to a lot of different music. So I learned to play guitar I have some of my friends are into different types of music, so I just always had that interest in me. And then maybe 9 months ago, I started a YouTube channel called Deathstroke9, which was my has always been like my username on video game consoles. So I just kind of named my channel that just on a whim. And the channel Deathstroke9 was intended to be for tabletop role-playing games. However, during my tabletop role-playing game creation, content creation, I guess you could say, I became enamored and got very deep into a group called Tool, still one of my favorite bands of all time, which is like a progressive metal band with some grungier roots that has progressed a lot over time. So on Deathstroke9, I made a couple videos trying to dissect Tool lyrics. However, that just wasn't really the type of content that fit with that channel. So another thing that kind of inspired me to start this channel is that I've seen other reaction videos. Like you said, Andy and Alex, Jamal, aka Jamal, a few other channels, I've seen some of their videos. Reaction videos are a very interesting concept to me, and I felt that there was something missing to me. For my personal enjoyment, when I would watch some of these videos, I'd want them to talk more about what the song meant to them or what the song means in general. So that was one of my driving factors. And all right, so I made a couple Tool videos, and my fan base wasn't necessarily digging it, wasn't getting many views. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a second YouTube channel specifically for reacting to songs I haven't heard before or dissecting lyrics, because I felt like that's an element I wanted to see in reaction videos that I just wasn't. So it was kind of a case of, I'm going to create the content that I want to see, and hopefully other people will enjoy it as well, which obviously quite a few have. It's been pretty
It's been fantastic to see your numbers. I wish that I would have remembered to look and see what number I was when I joined. I want to say it was probably in the 400 to 500s. And I was just pumped up, man. If you remember, I was saying, "Hey, you're at 800, you're at 900." Good stuff. So I was excited for you. Still am. I think that you're going to see a lot of exponential growth as people continue to share your show. Okay, great. So you took us to a little bit of your aliases. I was going to ask you to tell us about your aliases, and you touched on Deathstroke9.
Yeah.
So what's Dicon?
Okay. That's a pretty All right, so Dicon. Let's think about that. So, I'm a very creative person. Like, that's, in my opinion, that's my biggest thing that I enjoy doing, is creating stuff. And so even like a few years ago and stuff like that, I've been trying to write stuff constantly. I really liked board games before I got into tabletop gaming. So I would try to make up concepts for board games or for legacy style board games, just all different types of gaming and then storytelling related just projects, basically, you could say. And I was thinking to myself, it'd be pretty cool if I want to do all these different things. Who's able to do all these different things? Companies that produce the art are able to do that. So it'd be pretty cool if I could found my own company to produce art. And this was like when I was like 11 or 12. So I just came up with, I don't really know where the name came from, but for whatever reason, Dicon was my company name. I'd put that little logo on the front of all my binders and stuff with my half-baked game ideas and stuff. And so it's a name that I've just kind of used on a few different projects. So my original YouTube channel, Deathstroke9, had some elements of like an opening little introduction video or whatever, or like saying, "Welcome back, everyone, to Deathstroke9 presents this, where today we're going to be talking about this." So when I started a new channel, I kind of was like, this format's working for me. So I kept Deathstroke9, or my character, or the character name in the picture, and then I named the channel Dicon because I wanted to put my name on this as my fake company name on this as well. Dicon Dissectional, because I try to dissect the lyrics. That was my original intention, was to... Before I started doing reaction videos, I was doing videos where there was no music and I was just reading the lyrics and sitting there like just talking about them for like 40 minutes or, which probably wasn't a very entertaining video, but and then
was that on your Deathstroke channel?
Yes. Yep.
What kind of
It was all Tool music.
Yeah, but what kind of viewer reaction response did you get? Did you see the numbers there?
There was a very small response to that. I was thinking I'm making a type of video that really isn't made much, I guess you could say. And I didn't... First of all, my editor kind of stopped working around that time, so I could not really perfect the format I wanted to go with it. One of the videos, is a little bit above average compared to the other ones. I really enjoyed that one. It's a dissection of the lyrics to Lateralis.
Yeah.
And the reason that one is so well done, better than the other ones, is because this is a kind of a side story, but for dual enrollment, I had to write essays for English, okay? And the professor gave us different assignments. One of them was we got to like choose the topic, and I tried to write an essay on the Tool song Lateralis. And I wrote the whole essay, sent it in, and they sent it back to me saying that it's subjective, so I can't really back the claims up, so I had to rewrite it. And I didn't want all that work to go to waste, so I used it to make a YouTube video out of it. So it was probably a more well-researched video that had a lot more interesting content as opposed to what a lot of my other videos are, which are more stream of consciousness type videos where I'm just kind of thinking my way through it and you're with me as I try to figure it out. But yeah, the response to those videos was pretty... There was one or two... So I posted about it on Reddit. I used to post on social media constantly. And one person was extremely enthusiastic about it, okay? So there was one very, very, very powerful response. He would send me these blocks, pages almost, of text going into the songs and kind of discussing them with me after I'd post a video. He was very enthusiastic about it. But then other than that, the views were very small compared to my other videos on that channel, which is another thing that prompted me to start Dicon Dissectional. But anyway, yeah, the views weren't that great on those videos. The numbers did not lie, so I changed it up a touch.
Well, I can tell you something. Your audience is glad that you changed it up. I have no doubt about that. Just a real quick anecdote on Tool from my perspective. I was 18 in 1990.
Oh.
And I heard Tool for the first time in 2019.
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I guess I can believe it. They have a very, very, very devoted fan base. Like, their fan base is like... There are a few fan bases that I've noticed have this huge following, or not huge following, but almost, not necessarily cult-like following, but very, very enthusiastic following. They're one of them. But outside that, there are probably a lot of people that maybe don't... It's not that they don't get it, but maybe they don't give it enough time, or that's just not their thing. So...
Well, I think part of it too might be I don't recall ever hearing any of the Tool songs on the radio. Now, in the late 90s, I remember seeing bumper stickers that said Tool, but by that time, Tool was a negative put down on someone.
It still kind of is.
Yeah. So I didn't even relate it to a music group.
Yeah, they did that on purpose. I guess it kind of backfired on them in your case, but they named themselves.
So, okay, so now let's fast forward to 2019. I had been getting familiar with Genesis in the early prog rock. I'm not really sure how that happened for me, but so in the 80s, right? That's what I said on on your Traffic video, I said I thought Steve Winwood was born in 1986 because that was the first time I heard him when he came out as a solo artist, right?
Oh.
But see, I didn't know he existed before then. Had no idea he was in Traffic. Same thing with Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel comes out with Sledgehammer and his In Your Eyes and his other masterpieces that he had out, but I thought he just came on the scene in the mid '80s. Had no clue that he was the original. So I'm watching Genesis videos with Phil Collins, and then I get this video of 1972 with Peter Gabriel. I'm like, what is going on? How did I not know this? Okay, so anyway, so I start listening to all of the vintage Genesis. I've got a friend of mine. He and I talk a lot, and he said, you know what? He said, I don't know why, but I'm going to send you this video. And it was Lateralis. And he said, I think these guys are the greatest band ever, musically, lyrically, everything. He said, these guys are the smartest, intellectual. Anyway, so he was building them up. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I played that, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And then to find out when the next song that I listened to was Sober, and I think Sober came out in like '88 or '89, and then I was blown away even more. I'm like, where was I? And I even did that on Facebook. I posted the link to the video on Facebook, and I said, where was I in 1989? Anyway,
yeah.
So my knee-jerk reaction to hearing Tool was, these guys are the 90s version of the 70s Genesis. They were just, I felt a really strong connection between what they were trying to communicate, both in the music, but then in also the poetic brilliance of their lyrics.
So would you say your third eye was opened at that point?
Well, yeah, it's because I stopped drinking fluoride, and so
okay.
Yeah, we won't go down that road.
Yeah, so Tool. Yeah, when Tool first started, they were still very intellectual. Like the intellectual side was still there, but the prog rock, it took some time for them to kind of settle into that. Like 2019's Fear Inoculum, definitely a prog album. You know, Lateralis, for the most part, with the exception of maybe like, I don't know, Ticks and Leeches or maybe one or two other, which are way heavier and a little less progressive. 10,000 Days. Yeah, so a lot of their later albums are much more progressive oriented, whereas their original EP Opiate has a lot of pounding, grungy metal riffs. Maynard sounds so young in that. Sounds like a very angry young man type person who definitely, like, you watched him grow as the albums went on. It was pretty cool. And then, let me think. What's the second album's called? Undertow? That one had some more progressive tracks, but then Anima was their first real, at least in my personal opinion, this is all my opinion, as always, but Anima was their first kind of foray into, like, with songs like Eulogy, and yeah, I don't know. They've got an awesome discography, so.
All right, so let's see. Oh, and then finally Legion.
Oh, yeah.
In your banner.
Yeah, Legion. Okay, story of Legion. So my original YouTube channel, Deathstroke9, was for tabletop role-playing games in general, but I had been a dungeon master for a long time, all right? And if you guys don't know what that is, for Dungeons & Dragons, it's like a storyteller, okay? It's a game where you basically tell a story, and you got some stats to help you along with that. Dungeons & Dragons blew my mind when I first was finally allowed to play it. I've been wanting to play it for a while, but we had to do some extensive research to figure out if it was okay or not. So then when I finally played it, it blew my mind, and then for the next, 2 years, it was all the tabletop role-playing games I played. The only thing I knew existed like it. Then I found out, so one day I started getting into, cosmic horror. Not one day, it took a little bit of time. But cosmic horror started to intrigue me, and so that would be Stephen King, some things of Stephen King, and a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's work. Don't agree with everything he wrote, but his cosmic horror side, he's basically the founder of it, definitely was intriguing me. So
just real quick,
yeah,
cosmic horror is
yeah,
a genre of fiction.
yes.
Okay, because I've never heard that. I've read many of Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft, so I know them as authors. But I would have just labeled them as horror. So can you unpack that in terms of
Okay,
what cosmic horror taps
so
into as a genre?
so let me think about this. So H.P. Lovecraft, right? He came onto the scene a little bit. He said he was inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, right?
Right.
And Edgar Allan Poe might have been one of the first real horror, right? Maybe not one of the first, but one of the first documented real horror writers, right? Horror up to that point had been mainly based in religious ideals. Everything about horror was demons and devils, vampires, creatures of the night, different evil things that were all from the devil or from Satan, satanic evil, stuff like that. You know, witches and witchcraft. That was what horror was. It was very influenced by, Christian and Catholic fears, I guess you could say. It was very religious based. And even before that, horror has still been very religious based. If you look at stories from tribal, what different tribes and stuff would have for their stories to scare their children or whatever, their traditions and different things that just kind of drew from this fear of this soul-eating demon or whatever. So cosmic horror tried to change that. H.P. Lovecraft, it was an atheist, there we go. And he wanted to write horror that would scare an atheist. Cosmic horror is it draws from a fear of the unknown. It draws from a fear of that which you cannot understand. And it kind of takes God out of it, which might be one of the things that make it interesting to me as opposed to super scary. It's just kind of like, this is interesting. So, in the stories, he has Cthulhu, and Cthulhu's worshipped as a god, right? But it's really like a creature, It's a mindless creature that's thoughts go out to people as they sleep. So it's cosmic horror was more widespread horror. It definitely emphasized on the smallness of humanity and how scary that uncertainty of your place in the universe is. And it was just a fear of the unknown is what Lovecraft's entire thing is drawn from. And Stephen King said multiple times that without Lovecraft's work, he might not have. It definitely inspired him. So with stuff like while it has a lot of conventional horror themes in it, its main creature, Pennywise, or I don't remember. Does the thing have an actual name? I don't remember what it's.
Pennywise is what I remember, but Pennywise, it's been a while since I've read it.
He's supposed to be like a cosmic entity. He came to the Earth in this meteorite and feeds off of fear, so he's able to, it's like a shape-shifting creature that changes into whatever the viewer fears most or whatever. And it has to scare them to feed off their fear until it gets to a point where it can actually kill and eat them or whatever. I'm not 100% certain on all of that, but so cosmic horror is more on fear of the unknown as opposed to fear of Satan, I guess would be the main difference between conventional and cosmic horror.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember the original question.
The original question was Legion, just in terms of unpacking the choice for that banner.
So long story short, I was getting into H.P. Lovecraft stuff. I looked up on I went on Amazon and was like, all right, is there any supplements for Dungeons and Dragons that have Cthulhu in it? And I found another game. Okay, I found another tabletop role-playing game. I was like, I didn't know there was more than one. And then it blew my mind how much, to me, better for my personal tastes in tabletop games that the rule system was. That opened this doorway which showed me that there's thousands of tabletop role-playing game systems. But I was very focused on this system called Call of Cthulhu, And because of the nature of Call of Cthulhu as a horror game or a cosmic horror game, the system could be used for conventional horror as well, or a few other types of genres. I guess another well-known one would be like slasher horror, which focuses on like one main killer. But anyway, so my channel was modeled after horror, which was something I had always kind of stayed as far away from as I possibly could when I was younger. A lot of things scared me. So a little bit of personal self-reflection. One of the reasons I probably got so fascinated with horror is because once I analyzed it and looked at it, it kind of helped me overcome some more childhood fears I had, I guess you could say. So that's a little interesting tidbit. But anyway, I modeled my channel after horror, and I thought a cool name for my fan base would be the Legion. Because first of all, my goal at the time is a Roman Legion 1,000 or 2,000? Is it
I believe it's one.
One, okay. My goal at the time was to make it to 1,000 subscribers. I was like, I'm making a YouTube channel, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, it'd be so cool if I could get to 1,000 subscribers. That was the goal. So I was like, we're going to call the fan base the Legion. I'm going to put in a little bit of fake it till you make it, call them the Legion, because we're going to get to 1,000. And then also there was a little bit of inspiration from, in the Bible, the Legion, which has been stolen. I guess that creature has been refurbished, or at least the name, the Legion, as like a group of evil creatures or demons or some type of horror icon, has been used in a few other stories that I've read, or there's been references to it before. So I thought it'd be an interesting name for a horror fan base, the Legion. And since this new channel, I've continued to use the name Deathstroke9, I also kind of continued to use the name Legion just because it's kind of a cool name and it stuck.
Fantastic. Great backstory. Just to let you know, you're up to 1,620 some odd.
Yes.
So 620. So you're you were just at 620s a couple of weeks ago. You are showing some impressive numbers.
It's blowing my mind how it's so crazy to me how in the last few days, and admittedly I have been posting an absurd amount of videos the past few days.
Yeah, that's true as well. You crank out, I think, more content than the other channels right now.
All right, yeah. There's a couple reasons behind that, but yeah. So that could be one thing that's been adding to this pretty quick growth, because we hit 1,000, then it was like the next day it was 1.1, and it's been going up by, according to Google Analytics or whatever, by like 80, 90, 111, 70, that's been going up in very large blocks, where before on my old channel, every day my goal was, I want to get 1 new subscriber. Some days that wouldn't happen. Some days it'd be 2. Every once in a while it'd be 3, and I would be like, yes, So yeah. It's been blowing my mind how enthusiastic this awesome group of people who love music and who are willing to, help me explore different genres that maybe I didn't know about, maybe different groups that I haven't heard before, who are supporting what I'm doing, and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I have to be honest, I haven't gone back all the way in your records to see what you did for your very first video, because really, who has all that kind of time? I have a bit of time to go back every. I think I actually made a comment on a video that you made a couple of weeks ago that I had missed, or maybe even a month ago that I had missed. But anyway. So, still talking about the beginnings of your plans, what kind of research, what kind of preparation did you do before you said, okay, I want to do this first show? Did you have everything mapped out? Or did you have a certain idea and then you even had other ideas that came after that?
So, do you mean for this channel, the new one?
Yes, for your exclusive interpretation.
I drew a lot of information out of my original channel, out of the, I guess you could say the setup of the way I do things was very much influenced by my other YouTube channel and what I thought was working for me. So my old channel, every video would begin with a black screen, little words across the screen, Deathstroke 9 presents. I'd say, welcome back, everyone, and lead into the video and say, we're going to be talking about X today, and then I'd have a little index card with me that I put like right up on the desktop, and it'd have some points I wanted to go over, and then I would edit it. At first I wasn't editing it, then I started editing, then my editor wasn't working on the computer anymore, so then I stopped again. So I drew a lot of that. So with this new one, I just added the name Dicon Dissectional in there, you know, so welcome back everyone to another Dicon Dissectional Production hosted by Deathstroke 9. Today we're going to be talking about, or we're going to be reacting to fill in the blank, you know? And then, yeah, my preparation was just me thinking to myself, what do I want in a reaction video? What would I like to see? And what do I care about the most in music? And as a writer, and as a person who started enjoying music before I learned to play the guitar, okay? So after learning to play the guitar, it expanded tremendously my appreciation for the musical aspect. But when I first started listening to the music, I mean, it's fun to bob your head to it, but I was mainly there to see, what are they trying to tell me, you know? This is a more enigmatic type of art. A lot of times with books, they tell you what they're trying to say. With songs, they're very vague a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of the music I was listening to, it's like, what are they trying to, what does this mean? Obviously, since learning to play the guitar, which was before I started this channel, but I've grown my appreciation for music a lot, which is why I love more complex arrangements like progressive rock or older heavy metal or more melodic music, because it's just so well done, although I do like some catchy tunes now and then as well. But yeah, so the majority of my research or whatever beforehand was, I'm gonna do what I want to be done in a reaction, and I'm gonna carry over some of the stuff that was in my old channel, because if it was working there, why wouldn't it work over here? In fact, this channel was basically originally created kind of as a, like, I was just like, you know what? I want a place to put these Tool videos. I'm just going to make a second channel. I did not intend to make it kind of my main channel. I did not really intend to start uploading so much to it. I was like, oh, I'll try to upload one video a week to it, you know? But then it started giving back to me, and so I started putting more into it. And yeah, it's been fun.
That's a great work ethic.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, sometimes it's a little bit weird though. It feels like, so I spent like 8 months on the original channel, making video after video after video, going into every single group I could find for tabletop role-playing game and trying to interact with the group as much as I possibly could, spending thousands of hours to try and get people to come just watch the video, like just to check out the video. There was a lot, like there were some very supportive people, and that was awesome. But there was also a lot of, like, I don't know if you know much about the tabletop role-playing game community, but there's a lot of gatekeepering. There's a lot of toxic people in that community, which is another thing that's interesting to me about these reaction videos. Every once in a while, you'll get the odd comment of some troll saying, you talk too much or whatever. But the vast majority of every single awesome comment made by these people who are all brought together by their love of music. And it's a very non-judgmental community with a lot of very kind and just plain awesome people who have been interacting with the content. So that was a very pleasant change for me, and probably another reason I've started putting a lot more of my effort into this new channel.
Yep. Good. Okay, so let's pick up a bit with what we've talked about with playing the guitar. Do you enjoy music theory?
I need to learn more about it. I don't know a ton about it. I know actually very, very little about music theory. I've watched 1 or 2 YouTube videos on the basics, and Yeah, I've tried to. I have strummed out some of my own songs before, but none of it is ready, and all of it needs more time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Can,
need to learn more about it.
can you read or write music?
I can read and write tablature, not normal music. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I can make the little notes in a guitar booklet,
Right.
and then after a while, the guitar booklet ran out of room, and then I realized that it's so much easier to just take a notebook and take a pen, put a line down each, where each, so it's already lined out. You got one,
Right,
two, three,
right,
four,
yep,
five,
yep.
6, and then in between 6 and 7, put a blue line right through it. Now you've got to block a tab. Now you just go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put another line. Much more efficient, and I was able to keep everything in one place because I had a much larger binder or notebook for that. That's kind of a tangent, but
Yeah, yeah.
little life hack, people.
Right, right. Yeah, DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a little plug for another channel in case you haven't come across him already, but Rick Beato.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What makes this song great, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when he does his music theory, I appreciate and love his passion, but I do not understand anything.
I think, yeah. I guess that would be like so if you've never, same with me, I've seen quite a few of his videos. So he's actually fighting against blockers specifically. Like he's
Sure.
gone to
Yep.
court
Yep,
multiple
yep.
times.
Yep.
Which is the main thing that brought me to his channel originally. Before I even started this YouTube channel, I saw a video called I confronted the people who took down my video or something. It was like a live stream or whatever. I've followed him for a while. He makes phenomenal content, but I guess it would be similar to, like, I don't know, someone who's just learning the alphabet to try and read some Latin text or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
If you're learning to play the guitar, or if you don't know anything about music theory, you really can't follow a guy who's looks like he probably has a degree in music theory. But anyway, yeah, Rick. Is it Rick Beato?
Beato. Yep. Yep.
I keep thinking of Beato, but okay, Beato.
Yeah, yeah.
Rick Beato. Yeah, awesome channel.
Yeah, shout out to Rick. I mean, I love his stories, his anecdotes. I love his passion, and I would totally geek out on his music theory if I knew that language. Just like you said, if I knew the language, it would make sense to me. And I listen to him. I watch him all the way through. But at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know anything more than I did before. But
yeah, I need to learn more about it. I'm pretty sure there are multiple YouTube videos that are the basics of music theory. There's one YouTube video which I remember watching a while ago called like how to make a band or how to create a music group, and it was like you can learn some basic music theory in a day. Just enough to just kind of know what chords sound well together.
Yeah.
G and C go well together, and then if you do C, then like I don't even know what you'd call it. C and then another chord which is like one down, and then
yeah.
A minor.
Yeah.
This downing. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Now, my mom bought me a guitar back in the 90s when I went to college, and I started to strum, I started to play, but I never moved beyond 4 chords. I just, like I said, with music theory, it didn't click. If I wanted to create the A chord on a different place on the neck of the guitar, I couldn't tell you what to do. The only one I know is the basic finger.
A.
Yeah. So, but then I had a friend who started at the same time as me, and that guy took off like a rocket. Like he just got it, and just blew me out of the water.
Did you practice the same amount?
I practiced quite a bit.
Okay.
I bought a lot of my favorite music, like Jim Croce and Elton John, Kenny Rogers, even just those massive chord books that you
Yeah.
can find, that are just like almost 2 inches thick, and they have all the piano tablatures, but then they also have the the guitar tablatures in there and whatnot. And there were some finger positions on those chords that I was just like, how in the world could
Yeah,
I ever?
So, for anyone watching this, who wants to try and learn guitar, I would advise against trying to start with songs. Learn chords first. Learn I think there's 7 main chords. So I can't list them all off to you, but I can play them all. Learn those first. Figure out how to and then practice changing between them. And then when you learn songs, look up what are some of the easiest songs to learn. For me, it was Nirvana, Come As You Are, just that main opening riff, not the whole song. A lot of times you can't even learn the whole song at the beginning phase, just whatever you can learn. So do 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 do, or Smoke on the Water, one of the best beginner riffs ever. Another song that I learned right at the beginning was just the main thing of Horse with No Name, which is like E minor and D6, I think it was called. And it was literally just the 2 fingers is all that's needed. And they go back and forth, and it's just a very simple strumming pattern.
Wait. Which song was that?
I think it's called Horse with No Name.
Yeah, exactly.
America.
Yep, exactly. That's, yep. Yep, those 2 chords.
So yeah, there are some songs that are easy to learn, and you've got to. It took me months and months and months before I even moved past just chords.
Yeah. Well, I guess my one accomplishment was that I did, and I don't even know if it was accurate, but it sounded right. Where I did 25 or 6 to 4, the do 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 do.
Yeah.
So I figured, I sat down and I thought, I am going to figure this out. And I just go, okay, that sound, then that sound, then that sound. Okay, do it again. Okay. All right, do it again. So that's my one accomplishment, that I actually worked something out on my own. So yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy playing the guitar.
All right, Daniel, you had a reaction to Dark Side of the Moon, and you mentioned that you enjoy reading literature. Now, you've already mentioned H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King. What are some other authors and books that you enjoy?
Just to clarify one thing, I have not read that much Stephen King. I want to read more of his stuff.
Sure.
Just so you know.
But as an author, you mentioned him already, so yep.
Yeah. So some other works. Let's see. I have a bookshelf over here. Let's see what I've got. There's an author named Brian Davis. He writes. I'm not sure if everyone watching this will enjoy this type of content, but he writes these. They're Christian, I guess you could say, but they're kind of outside of what a lot of organized religion believes, right? And they are fantasy, science fiction novels that are so good. I met him in person once. He was an extremely intellectual guy. I have pretty much all of his books not all of his books. He started making more series, a lot of them for like younger kids. A lot of his series have very, very strange synopsises. Like, it's the end of the world, and when you die, your soul goes up, and then these creatures called Reapers have to, they're not creatures, they're other humans called Reapers, have to take them and collect them and put them in a place, but then the place looks like heaven, but then it's really hell, and they have to figure out how to get out, and all this weird stuff. That one's not as faith-based. That was one of his first things, but he has some really out there ideas. So yeah, Brian Davis, really enjoy his stuff. C.S. Lewis, I've read some of C.S. Lewis's nonfiction, but the Chronicles of Narnia and what's it called? What is the series called? I cannot for the life of me remember.
His space trilogy, the Paralandra.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and then
the last one was that Hideous Strength.
Yeah. So
the first book in that series, I didn't love. Like, there were some cool concepts in it, but it felt very much like an unfleshed out world to me. Like there were like it just didn't feel like a complete story. It lacked depth to me. This is just my opinion. Then the second one freaking blew my mind so much, and I know I talked to you about it in a comments
Yep.
area on
Yep.
YouTube before, and you said you weren't the biggest fan of it, which is all right. There were some concepts conveyed through the medium of story, some concepts that just teach you about different things in life that were so inspiring to me. And I recommend anyone who enjoys some spiritual stuff or even just some interesting ways to think about your own life. It's not super long. It was only like 100 or 200 pages. Give Paralandra by C.S. Lewis a read.
Well, I might just in fact do that because my comment in the exchange that you and I had related more to Out of the Silent Planet, which is one I have started to read 5+ times probably. And
yeah.
I can tell you that I have forced myself to start, and I probably still only get 3 or 4 chapters in.
It's that I not a writing critic. I don't know everything there is to know about writing. I do know a lot about the way a story is crafted and story arcs, and also different things about different genres, but not everything in any way. And I cannot perfectly say this, but in my personal opinion, that first book, Out of Silent Planet, kind of sucked compared to the vast majority of his other work and compared to the next 2 books in the trilogy. In fact, that Hideous Strength kind of wasn't the greatest either. The Hideous Strength book was totally different than the first 2, even though it had the same characters. It was rooted in the real world, whereas the first 2 are out in space. And that Hideous Strength had an extremely unsatisfying ending. It felt very out there. It was like listening to a concept album, but the concept album isn't really that good, almost, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But the second book in that trilogy, I just love that book so much. All right, other authors that I enjoy. Obviously, I really like the Harry Potter series. Not a huge fan of everything else. What's her name? R.K. Rowling? Is that the full name?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm not the biggest fan of everything else she's put out, but whatever. And Tolkien, I don't know how many people can hate Tolkien, but I freaking love pretty much everything Tolkien did. But like,
have you read the Silmarillion?
The Silmarillion, the Silmarillion's just awesome. The Hobbit, all the Lord of the Rings books, and then I started to read the History of Middle Earth books that there's like way too many of, and they were like, I like his stuff that's in those books. All right, so those books, if you haven't heard of them, the concept is his son, one of his sons. Which son was it? I can't remember his name. One of his sons, who was like the one who was all in the fantasy stuff, just like his dad was, and into languages and stuff as well. He took all of Tolkien's unfinished work and started publishing it in a series of books with his own commentary called the History of Middle Earth books, basically. There might be 12 of them. There might be more. I'm not entirely sure. Tolkien's stuff is very interesting to read. I do not like the commentary, which makes up probably 55% of each book. That it drags on. To me personally, I don't love it, but yeah. And then Tolkien had some other interesting stories as well, like Tale of Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
I think one called like the Father Christmas Letters or something. Oh, C.S. Lewis has a book called The Screwtape Letters, which is freaking incredible.
Right. Yeah.
Let me see if I can see any other books over here. There are a lot of authors that have inspired me over time. What's another name? I used to. I still do. I have stopped a little bit as much as I used to, but I used to read so much. That's a good start. I mean, Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe, 2 other authors.
That reminded me.
Classic authors.
I've got a question for you.
Cool.
How are a desk and a raven alike?
Why are we what? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I have no idea. Sorry. I mean, I guess
Poe
maybe Poe wrote both those things, you know?
Poe wrote on both.
Yeah, he wrote The Raven.
Well, he
And
wrote on a desk and he wrote on a raven.
you are a very wise man.
No, I that's shout out to Pete Shea over in Ireland. That's his question that he loves to throw out. He's in another forum that I'm a participant in. And if
That's
you ever,
from Alice in Wonderland, right?
it probably could be. Yeah. Yeah.
The original question is, and it's just a nonsense question that, according to what's his name, Lewis Carroll, had no real meaning behind it. It was just supposed to be. That book is so weird. Wow. I'm not gonna get into that. That book's weird as all
That's
get
true.
out.
Now that you mention that, that is where the because again, going back to my acquaintance Pete Shea, he is big on the dodo, and don't know if you know this or not, but according to Pete Shea, Tom York of Radiohead, his nickname is the dodo. But
I've heard almost nothing by Radiohead. I'm probably gonna have to react to them at some point.
yeah, for sure.
The name of the song "Creep." I've heard. I don't know if I've heard the actual song, but I've heard it been talked about many times before.
Yeah. That was again one of the first songs that I heard back in the late '90s by them, and it's a very existential song. If you have, I guess if you have ever felt like the creep, it will be and have meaning for you, right?
So, let me think about that. So there's yeah, that's interesting. So there was so in dual enrollment there was like a forum area where you could talk to other people. There was a girl who I talked to, and she was very nice, and we have continued talking. We still talk to each other through just Discord, and then we've Skyped each other. We only live like an hour away from each other, and we're going to meet each other after Corona's over. But long story short, she had an acquaintance who she tried to introduce me to, and this acquaintance thought that I'm trying to take advantage of her, and got very, very, very heated, like telling me that she thinks that I'm like a 35-year-old man, and that she just she went on and on and on and on, and it made I guess I don't know if what you're saying is relatable.
It's not
to that.
okay. Okay.
But that's
so
what I'm thinking
there's
of when you say
a difference
that.
between a creeper,
Okay.
which is what I would label a 35-year-old man that's trying to take advantage of someone who's younger than he is. That's a creeper. You're a creeper. No. A creep is someone who feels like they're on the outside. I'm a creep.
Okay. Let me think about that. Out on the outside.
But you'll have to listen to the song.
Yeah.
The song unpacks it. But I remember feeling a connection to that song lyrically. It was so.
You're not a creep, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, Daniel. Well, let's take a break for just a moment from all of those hard-hitting questions that you just endured, and just going to throw you a couple softballs and just see what comes to your mind with the options that you're given. Okay, this is an episode session that I call "Take It Easy."
Take it easy, take it easy.
I'm very worried now.
Plain pizza or the works?
Oh, okay. Plain. I don't like a lot of different things, so I'm gonna go plain on that.
All right. Power drink or seltzer?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy. Yeah, seltzer, most definitely. Seltzer's
I
just
figured I had that one. I figured that.
clear and refreshing. Yeah.
Acoustic or electric?
Acoustic or electric? All right, so I learned to play guitar on acoustic, but I love the electric guitar so much, so I'm gonna go electric. I love it. Love it.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Xbox, Switch, or PlayStation?
So I can't really speak for the PlayStation, but I have an Xbox and a Switch, and one is vastly superior to the other, and I'm going to go with Xbox. Sorry, Switch fans. It's a very divisive question.
To sleep or to be awake?
To be awake.
All right, flip-flops or shoes?
Shoes.
Vegan or normal human being?
That's okay. Vegans are normal human beings, I'm saying. All right, but normal diet. I'm not a vegan myself.
All right. Scrambled or over easy?
I'm not a huge egg. I'm gonna go with scrambled.
The book or the movie adaptation?
The book. 1,000,000% the book.
Amen, brother. Yes or Genesis?
Oh. Okay. I haven't. All right. I need to hear more Genesis. Currently, the answer to that is yes. Yes to yes. As
All
always.
right. Tull or Styx?
Why do you put me through these things?
I thought these were supposed to be take it easy questions, but I think I'm throwing you some curveballs.
No, you're good. You're good. Do your thing. I like it.
That's all right.
Tull. I'm gonna go with Jethro Tull.
All right. Croce or Chapin?
Croce for now. I need to hear more Chapin.
Mac or PC?
PC.
Truck or car?
Car.
Automatic or stick shift?
Automatic.
Dungeon master or character?
Dungeon Master always. I'm a forever DM.
Oh, ho, ho, ho! Hold the phone, hold the presses. Stop the bus. It's been a while. I forgot how to close my own show. Okay, listen. Daniel, final question. This answer is only for Red Hen viewers. What can you tell us about Daniel, about Deathstroke 9, that nobody else knows? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to a brand new episode of Red Hen Radio. I have been your host, Travis Finley. Listen, if you have not already subscribed to Daniel's channel, please make sure you do so right now. And tune in next week for part 2, where we find out that juicy little nugget of truth that nobody else knows but us. Except we don't know it yet because it's not next week. But I know it because I've already heard it. But tune in next week. So there you go. Thanks so much again. This has been Red Hen Radio. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time.